Today's episode is brought to you by Archon Mounts. For those of you that are content creators and you want the best mounting solutions for your cell phones, your DSLR cameras, well, go to archon.com. Be sure to use my promo code Hawaii and you'll get 20% off your entire order. Also, all of their products come with a lifetime guarantee. So head on over to archon.com, keeping your devices within reach. Today's episode is brought to you by One Shot Energy Voice Drops. They are a low-sugar yuzu honey lozenge that soothes and protects your throat and voice with an infusion of slippery elm, marshmallow, and licorice root. Whether you are a full-time gamer, public speaker, pastor, preacher, teacher, maybe you like doing podcasting, you got to get your hands on these voice drops by oneshotenergy.com. Be sure to use my promo code AMBGLO for 10% off your entire order. OneShotEnergy.com. Today's guest is Sid Printer. It's funny because I don't ever call him by that name. I just call him Braddah Sid. He is a fifth generation Oregon resident or Oregon native. Comes out of what we call, I guess, the Valley in Oregon, which is more west, closer to the coast. So for those of you that are familiar with Portland, it's kind of in that area. And he, I think 14 years, Navy veteran. He spent 14 years of his life defending the American dream, spent another 14 living it. Some hard labor, I think in the lumber industry. And then the last 5 years, he's been working as a gas station attendant, or I think the term I used was he is a professional fuel operator. And I use that because of the military reference. And the reason why that's so important for me is that that's how I met him. So I'm going to give you the story before we go live together and do our podcast. And in October 13th of 2021, I flew to Oregon under duress, emergency reasons. My brother had 7 strokes, 2 blood clots. He was intubated in a coma. I flew from Hawaii to Portland. I had to drive from Portland to Bend, Oregon. And I was going like 100 miles an hour. My dad was sick. So my dad was in Oregon with my brother, just getting over here. And I gave my dad some food. We door dashed it. And we gave him cleaning supplies. Because at the time my dad had COVID. My brother had COVID as well. And he was hospitalized. That's the whole story of him being in a hospital. So I remember dropping off all these supplies for my dad, and my wife, as I'm leaving the house, I didn't hug my dad. Now, mind you, I haven't seen my dad in a year or 2 years. Can't remember how long it was. And to look at my dad through a glass window, drop off the supplies and food in Oregon, in Central Oregon, where they're at. And to feel that heartbreak of not hugging my dad. I'm driving to this gas station that is right up the road from the house. I'm literally sobbing because I'm so heartbroken. And while I'm sitting in the gas station, I'm on the phone with my wife, and she's walking me through the emotions. And she basically tells me, just go over there, grab your dad and hug him. If that's what you want to do, you hug him. And in the middle of this conversation, this guy knocks on my window, and I'm like, no, I'm good. He had an orange vest on. I'm thinking this guy is a homeless dude. He wants to ask for money. Or then I thought maybe he wants to pump my gas or clean my windows and I got to give him cash. And he knocked again. And I'm like, no, man, I'm good. I'm fine. Finally, he's persistent. And I open my door and he's like, brother, I don't know where you're from, but here in Oregon, I pump your gas. And then I realized, I'm in one of those states, and that's how I met him. And I remember apologizing and wiping my face, and I kind of mentioned something. I'm going through something, and he's like, very gracious. And so that's kind of how we met. And it's such a blessing to be able to have these relationships that started that way. And every time I would go, put in gas, he was always there. And this guy would give me samples of just chocolates that he was, I didn't know he was a chocolate, like he collects chocolate. He literally collects chocolate and eats it. And he would give me samples while I'm putting in gas, and we became friends. And that's why we're here. And I was always fascinated and blessed by this guy who was working through the pandemic when he didn't have to, technically, because during that time, people were getting money, all kinds of handouts, governmentally speaking, and especially Oregon. We'll talk about that in this podcast, but so that's where we are. And I'm blessed. I'm excited to just have this conversation with Sid, the gas man.
For a 73 four-wheel drive Ford pickup too, it's like, come on, really?
It costs you 73 cents.
Yeah, right. 70 cents to turn the key, 3 cents, that's like each for. But no. So when I saw you, and I'm like, man, this guy needs help. It's like, what's going on here? So I'm thinking, I have people pull in like that, and they've just been through some kind of a domestic problem or whatever. They're broke, and I got to get out of here. I got 30 cents or $1. I need to, I just need to go, but that's all I have. And go here's $20, go someplace safe, especially the girls.
So in the video I played, I said, what I remember, I remember you said, I don't know where you're from, but here in Oregon, I pump your gas. That's what I remember here. I don't know if it was correct or not, but that's when I'm like, oh shoot, I gotta get out of my planet where I'm, but I will tell you this publicly now that we're in front of people, but thank you.
Oh man.
Like legit.
You bet. Oh,
what's funny is that who can say they became friends with the gas man, right? I always say the gas man. I know there's a lot more layers too, but I want to say thank you. I really appreciate you doing that. Just, you have no idea that you ministered to me that day without even realizing it.
Wow.
Yeah. And you're not even a pastor. Isn't that funny?
I know it. It's like, that's really strange.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm preaching all the time.
Yep.
You think I was everybody I preached to,
Well, you definitely touched my heart that day. That's for sure.
Well, I'm glad to hear that. I mean, having a dark chocolate probably helped too, nothing goes wrong with dark chocolate.
So what's up with the dark chocolates?
Oh, I'm telling you, dark chocolate. Well, I love health. Okay. I'm kind of like into the health thing. I do my own fire ciders, and I do my own oregano oil and keep my immune system up. Well, dark chocolate, of course, antioxidant, excellent for your health. So, and that's what I'm about. I'm about trying to help people, so if a little piece of dark chocolate is going to put a smile on your face, I'll definitely about that, But
what's crazy is that whenever you pull up to put in gas, right, I already knew I would get like a sample, right? Which I was like, I ain't gonna lie. At first, I'm like, I don't know, this is kind of weird,
right? Oh yeah. Oh, I get the weird looks.
But what's crazy in this town? They're super friendly. So when I first came down that hill, and I'm like, Lord Jesus, this town is not going to like me at all. They're going to stop. And they're going to turn around and we don't like your kind. And that's what I...
Sure. Sure.
But it was opposite. They're super friendly. And it was crazy. And then the whole chocolates thing, for you to give me chocolates, it's kind of like, when you go to the dentist after they punch you in the face and take your tooth out, they give you that little piece of candy. Hey, here you go.
Yeah, right.
I'll see you in 6 months.
Right, yeah. I always thought it was kind of weird the dentist always traded you candy,
well,
sure,
Toys too, right? Toys and candy. We're from the old fabric. So for people that are with us live, 14 years, right? In the Navy. What did you do in the Navy? What was your job duties?
Well, my first 4 years, I was a jet mechanic, and that made me basically, I was a plane captain for F-14s aboard USS Kitty Hawk.
Ooh.
And I did that for 4 years. And then I came out and I went to the Air Force. I wanted to try, because they had better stations overseas, and that's what I wanted to go do. But they had no openings. This was in 80, 81, 82. I think, the economy was crap. So, and I was trying to get, looking for work and doing different things. And I just wasn't cutting it, it just wasn't where it was at. So, just, I got a letter from the Army, hey, and I looked at it and they offered me some gLO pilot program. I'm like, that's all right. So I went and I talked around, went back to the Navy. The Navy said, yeah, said you have an RER1 reenlistment code as high as you can get. And it's like, come on back. I said, okay. And they had me in ASVAB. They said, you got to take the Armed Services Vocational Aptitude Battery Test again, ASVAB, which I did. And after I did that, they said, okay, you're pretty much cool what you want to do. I said, I want a Creo book. I said, I want to see what the critical rates are at. So they said, well, give us 5 choices. So I gave most of the mechanical rates except for one was for aviation ordnance, but I really didn't want that, but oh well. And then I think 4th choice was parachute rigger. And that's what they gave me, aircrew survival equipment. So that was cool duty. I met, that was great. I mean, I went from having to be on the flight deck and the wind, the rain, the snow, whatever. And, well, it wasn't snow. I was mostly on Indian Ocean, so it was just hot.
So the Kitty Hawk, they retired that ship?
It's all, everybody's
it's
retired now. Yeah, almost. Yeah, they're all razor blades, and they're all gone. Yeah. It was great. It was good duty. My first enlistment was great. 79 to 81 was or 77 to 80 was really cool. I had a lot of great people, met a lot of people from around the world. Got to do some traveling, see some places,
What countries? What countries do you go to?
Well, Philippines, Thailand, Hong Kong, Japan, Korea, yeah, Japan actually was the worst part. I mean, it's like there was one street open to American sailors at that time, and it was like, one bar, an arcade center. And
What year is that though?
that was in 79.
Well, I'm guessing some of that old generation is still alive that when we bombed the heck out of them, right?
Well, probably. I mean, it's like we were on the Kitty Hawk, so of course we're conventional. So it's like we could get a little bit closer than most people, but in Japan we couldn't. I mean, we still had to.
Was it Osaka at the time?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, Osaka, and still today, Osaka is I think the largest base.
Yeah. So that was probably the worst place. The best place was Thailand. That place was crazy. I stood in the middle of the street and stripped my clothes off in Thailand. I mean, anything with American symbol on it, you could trade for anything, So Levi tags.
Wait, did you just take off your clothes and run?
Oh man, we were well. They have these little lean-tos set up on the side of the road, and it's all American booze and stuff. So here I got a double shot of Jack Daniels, and
just go buck wild.
I had a Mexican friend of mine that we were on the carrier together. We were both plane captains, and Rick Espinoza, and I sat there and we had a bottle of booze, and this kid come up and said, "Hey, he had something like Eat It Joe's T-shirt or something, anything American, And so he's like, "Yeah." Takes off his shirt, and it's like, "Yeah, we'll give you a kimono and a couple of T-shirts, and well, how about your pants?" There was some I don't know what whatever, some American. Yeah, like, well, the tag, just the Levi tag on my jeans, the kid offered me $40 for them, because what they do is they take and they get older denim or cheaper denim, and then they would make them, and then they put the Levi tag on them and sell them to, I guess, people from other places in Europe or whatever, is real Levi jeans. And so that was the thing. I got hammered, standing there stripping down and taking. I traded for everything. I traded everything I had on my body. I think I walked off with 2 kimonos, 4 T-shirts, 6 pairs of something else, and another pair, and 4 pairs of flip flops, and off I went.
So here's an honest question: how did they coach you guys when you got into port? Like, hey, stay away from these.
Oh yeah, and they always tell you that. Was Hawaii. First thing, don't go to Hotel Street. Where's everybody go? Right? No,
did you hear that? He said,
"Yeah, that's where's the first place everybody goes."
You remember Hotel Street?
Oh sure.
Oh, bro.
Oh man, dude, I was that street. That's crazy.
That's so funny.
I had a kid. I had this kid from Kentucky. This poor kid. He's never been overseas. Probably never been out of his town his entire life. But anyway, we get over to Hotel Street, And here's one.
That's so funny. Remember that street?
And here's one of the girls. I mean, I mean, what is supposed to try to pass off? Well, my boy's just all about it. Oh man, that's just the hottest I've seen. I'm like, no,
Like,
Kevin, that's not. Oh, it is. Oh, that's hot.
that was before LGBTQ plus a
Oh, well, this is long before
Two-Spirit.
everything. Oh, it's long before everything. I mean,
Well, actually, that was Two-Spirit back then. I'm sure that was a Two-Spirit dude.
Well, I don't know, man.
You know what's funny, Sid? To this day, Hotel Street is still like that. Like I don't even take my own family. Like maybe on the edges of Hotel Street where it meets up with the main road, but that one corridor, and they're trying to clean it up, but they can't. It's just there's something there that resides there spiritually, first of all. But that's funny that you remember Hotel Street. And
well, I mean, when you go to a place like that with somebody who's never been to anything like that before their entire life, and they go upstairs to, have a little time, and all of a sudden here they come flying down the stairs, screaming and throwing their pants on and their boots at the same time coming down the stairs. Now, you don't forget that. You don't forget someone doing that. I mean, that's talent, You have to come downstairs, put your pants on and your boots at the same time. I'll tell you what, that's some talent, boy. That boy was white as a sheet.
Well, my thing is, why would you go upstairs in the first place? Like, okay, this isn't. But hey, here's a funny story. I want to go back to Thailand, but so in that area, this is a place called we call it the Poly Highway, and there's this Longs. I don't know if you remember Longs. It was like a department store. Well, they have this one driveway, and you got to drive down this driveway before you get to the store. And you got all these, I guess in Thailand they call them lady boys. Mm-hmm. Hawaii we just call them mahus. Mm-hmm. But they wear short skirts. Mm-hmm. And I know they're not attractive, but anybody that doesn't know, wow, these girls are exotic, but
right.
And they're standing, and you got to pass through this corridor, and there's a bunch of them. And my windows are down, and you would think high heels, short skirt, makeup, long hair. And as soon as I pass by, they literally go, "What's up, brother?
No doubt.
You like one date?" I'm like, "No, bro, I'm good. Thank you. I appreciate the offer, but I think I'm good. I'll pass on that,
Right.
But I think it's funny you bring up Hotel Street. So in Thailand, so you prefer Thailand over Osaka?
Yeah, I mean, as far as places to go, I mean, it was a lot more things to do. Yeah. I mean, parasailing, bar hopping, a lot more. It was just a more relaxed atmosphere. Whereas Japan, it just wasn't there. Like I say, we got there. It was just there was one street open. It was like there was really nothing on that street for Americans.
I think culturally, Japan, and just in general, of all the countries over there, I think Japan is still the most traditional reserve.
Mm-hmm. I would think so too. Yeah. The guys that I knew that were stationed there, I had a friend that I met on Dio Garcia when I was there. He had just spent 4 years. He was a radioman, Black Shoe. And he said, yeah, it takes about 2 years, 3 years for him to, kind of get to know you a little bit. And if you're a decent person or not, And then he goes, man, they just give the shirt off their back. They're so nice to you. Once they find out you're a decent human being, So, and that's what a lot of people are finding out now with Trump being elected this trip, all these people threatening to get out of America. We're getting out. Well, it's like there's a lot of countries like, well, don't come here. Or if you come here, you're going to be held to our standards, So, I mean, you got to figure that a lot of people have already left to go overseas in the past. There's a lot of people living in Belize or whatever in different countries, and a lot of countries aren't happy with it. They're not happy with the influx of Americans, especially Mexico. The influx of Americans down there driving up their cost of living,
Yep.
So
especially in the Cancun area.
Sure. Oh well, I mean, and Acapulco. I mean, it's all pretty much been Americanized for a long time. Americans have been down there forever. Which, when you draw the line on that,
It's funny. I'm in Mexico. I went there for I went there for training for drug and alcohol rehab counseling. So we had to go. We picked Mexico because one of our leaders he owned a vacation rental. So we had a training in Mexico, which was kind of weird. Me from Hawaii going to Mexico, but it was nice. But I remember because all the people I was with, they're all white, right? we say haole people, and they're all like, "Don't leave the resort. You need to stay here." So I'm like, "Oh, I think I'll be okay." Because I got a taxi driver, right? So I got a taxi driver, and I remember from the airport to the hotel, I asked him, "How much do you, if you don't mind sharing, how much do you make a day?" So he told me how much he made. And I was like, "Dude, that's it." I didn't tell him that, but I'm like, "Wow, he only gets paid like." So I just felt upon my heart just to bless him, right? So I said, "Hey, if I pay you like double what you get every day, would you be my driver just for a few days?" And he said, "Yeah." So he would pick me up from the resort at a certain time after our training, and he would take me shopping. And we went to restaurants, and he was my driver. I felt so special because I have my own driver, and he speaks the language. But it was funny because I'm brown, but I felt like they were disappointed in me because I didn't speak Spanish, but it was still cool for him to drive around, and I was able to pay him double what his rate was. And I was able to travel around that area and do some shopping. It was fun, like, to that dollar amount. I remember the dollar amount. I can't remember what, I want to say it's like $60 a day or 70 I paid him. And it was crazy that's how much he made. And then we went to this neighborhood with all these houses, beautiful houses. And he said, "Oh yeah, none of these are owned by Mexicans. They're owned by, Americans or Europeans." And I thought that was sad because that's what I go through at home when all these multi-million-dollar properties, and the Hawaiians don't even own that, right? It's outsiders. So, but I agree. If people are going to move, well, they didn't move the first election in 2016. So I don't know. I don't think they're going to follow through.
Well, they had an interview with one girl that didn't, but she already had experience living overseas and everything. So it's like no big deal for her. But yeah, well, if they leave, they come back. They're not going to stay gone. There's no way. We're the best country in the world.
Well, you remember they said we're going to move in 2016, and this is not political for anybody that's watching, but well, it can get political. I like politics, but they said we're going to move to Canada, right?
Right.
And I'm thinking, why not go to Mexico? You're vouching for the
Right.
so
We'll see. Well, Kimmel pulled the same thing too. I guess January 20th is going to be his last episode. He's bailing out, and I saw
who's this?
Kimmel.
Kimmel.
Jimmy Kimmel.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's all in tears because Trump won. Just all upset and big time. And so he's bailing out. So the 120 will be his last show. And first report was he was moving to Canada, and then I just saw a report a little bit ago. He said moving to Europe. So, but again, like I say, and then Whoopi Goldberg, I guess she walked off the set today. She said, "I'm
she
done."
did.
Yeah, she walked off, and but I guess she's done that before. But all the circles back around for a paycheck. She's back on payday.
Let's go there. Okay, let's go there. The machine that everybody's connected to.
Okay.
Whether people believe it or not, this is what I see. What I believe that God shows me things that, and I may have misinterpreted, but there's a machine that everybody's connected to on the dark side of things. And there's been a curtain that's been surrounding this machine. And I don't mean a literal, machine, but
Right.
people that have been promised agendas or they've been promised wealth, fame, whatever, and they're slowly being exposed. Trump called it drain the swamp, clean the swamp. We're going to clean up Washington. That's part of the machine, right?
Mm-hmm.
And the people that are being exposed are either being exposed willingly, like, hey, I'm going to support this person. This is who I am. And there are some that are unwillingly. That is your Harvey Weinsteins. That's your P. Diddy's. That's your Jeffrey Epstein with Epstein Island. That's your Kevin Spacey. All these people that are being exposed for their filth. I feel like their time is up. And if you want to go further into the machine, look at Whitney Houston, Michael Jackson, Prince. I'm not saying they were, but it seems to connect for me, right? They're all promised or connected to this, and now your time's up.
Yeah.
And I wonder if Kimmel, Whoopi, all these people are connected to the same machine, and they're like, okay, we can't live like this because now we're going to be exposed.
Mm-hmm. I don't know.
That's
I don't
my
know.
thoughts.
Yeah, well, I understand that, and I can kind of understand where you're coming from with this. With this last election, even with the Amish coming up, the Amish have never come out before.
with
Okay?
Trump flags.
I mean, no doubt. You got Trump flags on a horse carriage. Now, when
What
that's
the heck?
when that's in your face, you know something's going on. Okay. So with that, with those people coming forward, and with him having Barron take him and go with on the like what we're doing here. This is your new media right here.
Yeah.
Okay, this is where it's at. So this right here is what put Trump over the top also, because it put him face to face with Byron, his son's Gen Z generation, and people like that. In general, people are, I mean, now they've come out and said, well, gee, maybe 2020 was rigged. You think after this election and what they went through in Pennsylvania and what it took for the poll watchers to be there and lawyers to stand there and say, okay, well, if you do this, here's what I'm going to do. Really, it comes down to that. It comes down to lawyers and people like that to make sure we have, sane elections. But this election, it's because of God. It truly is. God saved Trump's life twice.
And he acknowledged that.
Yeah.
I was hoping he would be more, and it's just my personal, I was hoping he'd be a little bit more definitive on saying, like he did say, I believe, and I don't know where he's at, but I wish he would say, you know what, hey, God saved my life. Moving forward, this is what we're going to do. He did come out yesterday, the day before it, and came out with a crazy plan, and people are getting triggered beyond measure with which I believe. I don't know if he'll be able to do it, but I hope he can.
I mean, he's not stupid, and it's like he's surrounded by people that can do a lot of amazing things. He has a lot of geniuses around him. I mean, look at Elon Musk, and I mean, you start putting people around you like that, they can make decisions and make things happen. It's like, yeah, your life is pretty easy. And the people in general, you, me, everybody, I think the majority of people, all those, that aren't shaving our head and being weird, all understand and all agree that this is the best thing that can happen. And now we know who to hold accountable. All three houses, or all three, is taken.
House, Senate,
it's all there. So
judicial. Technically, yeah. I think I haven't done the math, but I think it is in his favor, the judicial.
I think so too.
Yeah.
I think so. But I mean, here we are. Here's our people. Okay. Here's who's accountable. Okay. Do you want to be one of those people? Because you're going to be accountable.
I told my wife, I said, this is what I feel like Trump represents. He's like, your mom gets a divorce. She finds this amazing guy who's successful, wealthy. Maybe he's got charisma. He comes home with your mom. He starts living with you. They get married or whatever, and you hate him because everything he's doing to you are things that you're not used to or you don't like. And he tells you, don't you dare disrespect your mother. She's my wife. You're not my kids, but she's my wife. Don't you dare disrespect her. And as a stepchild or child, whatever, you're like, who are you to come in here and tell me what to do? I feel like a lot of our nation on one side is like, I'm not going to listen to you. No, and all the crazy stuff, right? But somebody had asked Charlie Kirk, they said, so if Kamala wins, are you going to leave the country? And so he said, well, if Trump wins, are you leaving the country? And the kid goes, yeah, of course I'm leaving the country. So then Charlie Kirk goes, see, that's the difference between you and me. If Trump loses and Kamala wins, I'm going to stay here. I'm going to work in my country. I'm going to fight for the next 4 years to make sure that I can make things better. I'm not going to leave and just quit because of some. And I think the funny thing about this, I love about this town. If there's any parades or protests, I rarely see people on the right side of the issue because they have to work. Mm-hmm. They can't be sitting there in the middle of the day protesting. They have to go to work.
We're all at work.
Yeah. Right. So, but going back to the whole, I want to go back to the machine. Whether I'm right or wrong, I do see that there's people being exposed. And I think when Trump announced yesterday or day before that he's getting rid of the Department of Education. Is that what it's called?
Yeah.
Right? Mm-hmm. Let the states handle it. Mm-hmm. I'm a huge fan of that because one, it's less funding going towards the federal agency to run it.
Yeah.
The other thing I hope they get rid of is the FDA.
Yeah, that and EPA. We don't need the EPA either. And Department of Education, definitely, that's gone. But yeah, there's a lot of. I mean, he tasked Elon with coming up with some money, and so Elon sat down. I guess he spent about 10 minutes. He said, "Well, here's $2 trillion right here," and that's in 10 minutes. So it's like, what do you do?
So Elon solved the problem. I forget what podcast it was. They said, well, how do you propose getting rid of all these agencies? Elon said, let's just, and I'm paraphrasing because this is not verbatim, but basically let's fire them or get rid of them, or give them a 1 year severance or 2 years of severance pay so they have money.
Mhm.
Even with that much money we're going to give them, it's still better for the country knowing that we don't have that position anymore.
Sure. Yeah,
We can
yeah.
allocate the funds elsewhere.
Oh, yeah. I mean, it's not like we can't use those funds in other places.
Yeah.
Make them all farmers. I mean, something. Have them all. Start growing food. That's what we need. I mean, I can't. That's the other thing too. Why would we sell all this land to China? I'm bad enough it's next door to the Air Force base, but we haven't sold that much in Oregon. Oregon's got some in the very eastern, but we don't mean crap.
Well, there is a huge Chinese billionaire that has land here. I'll go look it up.
Yeah, I mean on the map
Yeah.
there's a map on. I saw a map on the interstate. Who's got on the internet that's got who's got what, and Oregon, we don't have crap for as far as foreign investment. The other thing I don't understand is they allow the Canadians to come here and buy property, but then they can't live on it, can't build on it, can't be on it, but you can own property. It's like,
Well, why is that?
because you're not a citizen of America.
But
Yeah, no doubt.
why
That
sell
doesn't
it?
make any sense. You sell it to them, but then they can't live on it, can't use it, but yet you're doing it to China. I don't know what China's doing with it besides
That's interesting.
buying, but yeah, that's really weird. I mean, I would rather let the Canadian live on it than some Chinese guy. I mean, nothing against Chinese guys, but at the same time, it's like, at least I know what the Canadian guy's going to do, play hockey.
Play hockey and make maple syrup.
That's it.
Oi. Oi.
We're getting in trouble for that.
No.
But yeah, so I mean, I don't know. I don't understand if you're going to have stipulations on one, why not on the other? It's a double standard thing that I just don't understand. But again, government. Like you said before, with what we got going on, with who's in charge, with who, the people there, we know who's running what. So we know who to point our fingers at, who to yell at when something doesn't go right, or starts to go off the rails again, Of course, I don't know how well we're going to do. We still got 2 years to go. We've got our problems here in Oregon with our blue state. I don't understand what we're going to do about our problems with the homeless. I mean, I have ideas of what they could do in Portland. My suggestion would be just to take some old hotels down there, the oldest ones, and buy them out and use them for cleaning houses. Start with the people that are working 40 hours a week and living on the street in their camper and put them back in their home, and then we start taking the other people that are the drugs, the people on drugs and people wanting off drugs, and divide them up, I mean, I don't know. These just off the top of my head. Just I'm trying to think of things that we could do to right off the top to help with that situation because it's not going to get any better.
Oregon's different than Hawaii in the sense, so Hawaii, we had per capita a pretty high amount of homeless to the actual population, and they have nowhere to go, right? So once they're there, they're there. The bonus to that is the weather, right? They don't have to worry about snow.
Right.
And Portland, I tripped out when I first arrived there. I'm like, dude, this is just like what they were saying on TV, if not worse.
Mm-hmm.
Probably worse. But I understand now because of you got Washington and you've got other states where they can just come through.
Right.
I've seen a lot of campers, a lot of fifth wheels, they call them,
Mm-hmm.
just set up.
Sure, alongside of the road. Yeah, and Tillamook, over there in Tillamook in Portland, outside of Gresham in that area too. It's just unbelievable,
Yeah.
But then Washington State has really gotten bad. I've got people coming down here just recently moved here, and it's battleground. I guess it's just terrible. I mean, it just flat out murder you right there at the mall. I had one guy come and tell me that they had some guy come just empty a clip and another guy in the mall on Halloween right there in front of all the kids.
Where was this?
In Battleground, Washington.
I believe that.
It's like, I mean, I've never been there, but I mean, that's what this guy's telling me. And I'm like, oh my God. I mean, in a mall in front of your kids. I mean, I realize this kind of stuff goes on all the time. I mean, anymore, it's just almost everyday routine, which is sad. Of course, that brings us, to the subject of gun violence, and everybody screams, well, we need more gun control. No, you don't.
Did they pass the measure here? The 110? Is it 110?
No. And
Supreme Court, right? They blocked it.
Everything. Yeah, we didn't get that. So, but the Supreme Court's already said, I mean, they've already made the rule on Second Amendment. It's like you do background checks on your Second Amendment.
No, the 110 is the 10 rounds, right?
Well,
the 110, I forget the measure.
Yeah, the one,
because Hawaii has the same thing, but it's a different.
I haven't seen on the round part. I think I know the bump stock thing. The Supreme Court voted that down. There's really nothing they can do. With the Second Amendment, it's just a waste of time. I think
somebody told me on social media, they're like, "Why do you need more than 10 rounds?" I'm like, "Because I'm not a good shot."
You're right.
I don't know.
It's like. Well, if you're target practicing or whatever and stuff, if you're getting proficient with with your gun, if it's a new gun, you want to learn, you want to use it, learn it, this kind of thing. You're going to go through 10 rounds. You're going to go through 20 rounds. I mean, you buy it to shoot. You buy it especially if it's for target shooting.
To me, that law, first of all, it's silly because it's not necessarily just about the rounds or gun violence. It's about control.
Sure, it is. Yeah, exactly.
Because in a home invasion, first of all, anybody that's a family man, I don't think they want to go around clearing rooms with a handgun. They want to either a rifle, shotgun, corner, hole up, and you come to me. Mm-hmm. I'm not going to jeopardize my life. Now, of course, if you got kids or in other rooms, then of course you want to have something where it's close to the body. So, but they're not regulating shotguns.
Nope.
or rifles.
Mm-hmm.
Hunting rifles, the bullets are much bigger.
Sure.
So it's not about the bullet. It's about control.
Yep. It's too bad. There's too many other things we need to focus on besides taking away more rights from people and or infringing and or.
Well, remember the shooting in Bend,
mm-hmm.
and I remember, it's sad and very unfortunate what happened to it was a meat cutter. Mm-hmm. I think 2 people died.
Mm-hmm.
That would never have happened in this town.
Right.
He would have been shot in the parking lot. I think he would have gotten maybe 2 or 3 rounds off. I think the people in this town understand, hey, no.
Yeah. Yeah, we're pretty law enforced around here. We have of course, we're a training ground, for everybody, so we change up. We don't have the same cop twice. Sometimes you luck out and see the same one.
Yeah.
But they come in. I see the sheriff and police department come in, to our station, and it's like I hardly ever see the same guy twice. Whether it be a sheriff or whether it be the city police. But
I met the chief of police a couple of weeks ago. What was his name? Nice guy. He's interim because they bring in somebody from California. I forget. San Francisco, really? San Francisco. Well, anyways, yeah, I'm a nice guy. And somebody mentioned to me a few months ago about where he's from. He said that he was disappointed in the police in their response time, and he said that they should do better because they're the first line of defense. And I'm like, maybe for you, but I think where we live, the police, they're called after we've handled the situation.
Yeah.
Hey, I need you to come and clean this up legally.
Yeah, bring the body back.
So
yeah,
the police.
Don't say I said that.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's cool. For the most part, we don't have a lot of crime here. which I don't understand why you have that 10-story justice building here, though. I haven't figured that part
It's
out.
nice,
And,
though.
I'll bet it is. I don't want to go inside. What is it? Like the ground floor is the office, and the 9 floors of jail space. I think.
Yeah, so if you get convicted, here you go. You're right there.
Yeah. Yeah, here's the elevator to the top floor, you know.
I won't say his name, but I know a judge very well.
You know.
I'm so tempted to